Hey everyone, so I received a leather case for my Astel & Kern Kahn today, and I thought I'd make a quick video about it just in case you were a fellow Kahn owner and you wanted to have a little bit more information about this particular case. So I went with the leather case from a Korean company called Mitre. Apparently it's made in Korea. I ordered it from a eBay seller called Stay Edge. Cost me 76 Australian dollars plus shipping. I went with the navy option, and as you can see, it's quite a dark blue, almost black. So I think it looks pretty good. You can see what it looks like with the Kahn in just a moment. As far as the case itself, it's quite lightweight. The walls of the case are quite thin, so I wouldn't expect it to protect the Kahn from, any severe shocks, but it will stop it from getting scratches and that sort of thing. And basically, it will protect other things from the Kahn, which is why I got the case, because I'm very concerned about putting that beast on surfaces and scratching them, etc., etc. So, this leather case is apparently at least partially handmade, and I feel like you can tell from the perforations on the back of the case that they don't quite line up perfectly, and I think that's because they've been handcrafted. I'll show you what it's like to put the case on in just a moment, but as far as the leather goes, I don't think it's genuine animal leather. It's not a big concern to me. In fact, I'd probably like to go with some kind of synthetic leather, but if you put some water on the back, as you can see, it doesn't get absorbed. It just kind of puddles on the back. So I think it is a synthetic leather. So as far as putting the case on, you just kind of slip it onto the Kahn, like so. The other case option that I was looking at was a leather case by a company, I believe named Ignis. But I went for this one because it was a fair bit cheaper. But the Ignis, or the Dignus, rather, I think it was the Dignus, that I believe covers a bit more of the unit itself. So once the case is sort of on, you can see that the top edge, or the top side of the Kahn is mostly exposed. There's just a little bit that wraps around the bezel here, but that is more or less exposed. On the bottom, it's got a little bit of a lip, so it protects the ports and everything on the bottom, but I still believe you can access the SD card slot, and of course the USB-C and the micro USB. The other interesting thing about this case in particular is it has this little stand here. So you pull it out, and then it lets you prop up the Kahn and just kind of go through your music library or use the device while it's facing you, which is kind of cool. But my one concern with this particular arrangement is that it's not as if the case is particularly bottom heavy, so it doesn't necessarily anchor it. And let's say if you were to plug in your headphones into the Kahn and then pull it, it's gonna kind of move around on the table. So time will tell whether that's going to be secure, but thankfully, if you don't want to use the stand, the magnets more or less line up on the back, and you get basically a double layer of protection on the rear where you're gonna put the Kahn down on the table. So as you can see, it's not going to be super protective of the Kahn. That's all right for me, because basically the Kahn is going to live on my table, and I don't really want to cover up the buttons or the ports with a case, but it's not going to be super protective, and I wouldn't expect this to necessarily protect it from any severe drops. I think that the other case that I saw floating around, the Dignus, looks like it will do a better job in that regard. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So leave a comment If you have any particular questions about this case, I'll do my best to answer them. And happy listening.